And welcome to the third episode of Smarks Without Attitude. This is Reese, and joining me, as always, is Harry. Say hello, Harry.
Hello, Reese. You okay?
I'm okay. We're having a mini heatwave in England at the moment, and everyone who likes to enjoy bitching about the weather is now bitching about the fact that it's too hot. So you never win. You can never win.
It makes the British complain about the 2 days worth of summer we have.
We are going to discuss Money in the Bank 2017, which was just this past Sunday. An interesting pay-per-view. I've seen worse, but I've seen tons better, including many in the Bank shows that are better than this one. Before we jump straight in, Harry, do you have any general comments on the show?
I thought it was a very bad show. It was a one-match show. Unfortunately, we had to go through 2 hours to get to that one match. I cannot recall as bad a Money in the Bank pay-per-view prior to this one. I think we'd have to go back to maybe when The Rock returned for the build-up towards WrestleMania 28. I can't remember what year that was. That's how far back it was. I said to you before when we were talking about Dominion, or I texted you saying, I'm sure Money in the Bank will bring us back to reality after having such a good wrestling show to watch. And lo and behold, I was unfortunately right.
You may have jinxed this show.
Yeah, I apologise.
Smarks Without Attitude has jinxed the WWE. Brilliant. Okay, so let's run through it. I don't watch the pre-shows. Did you watch the pre-show match?
I do write me notes. Do you want me to run through it quickly, or?
Okay, so the pre-match show saw the Hype Brothers, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, defeat the Colons, which is Primo and Epico. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Was this any good? Or am I justified in completely ignoring pre-match shows?
Unfortunately, you were justified ignoring it. This was Zack Ryder's return from a 6-month-long injury. The tag match was your typical, I keep saying TV affair, but it really is there's no sizzle to it at all. The Colons, I noticed, are no longer travel agents. They used to be travel agents on Raw. So this is how far back since the brand shake-up when they got switched over. I presume they're now a generic version of the Usos?
Guess so. I don't really. The tag division on SmackDown is just so poor. It just doesn't really elicit any excitement out of me. So no. I'll be honest. The only thing that actually interests me on tag side of thing on SmackDown, or actually even in general, obviously the Hardys on Raw. It's the Hardys. Everyone pops for the Hardys. Breezango, the only tag thing that actually entertains me at the minute. But yeah, so was there anything of actual note during this match, or was it usual spots from Mojo and Ryder?
Exactly that, unfortunately. Mojo does his best Kool-Aid man impression when he does his... Have you seen his football spot? You know, where he rolls around on the floor, basically preventing the other, his opponent from moving?
Right. Is that his... I'm guessing the fact that he was with that Ron Gronkowski at WrestleMania, that he's a former American football player.
You're exactly right. That's right. I don't mind Mojo. I know loads of people are annoyed by him, but I think he's quite solid. And he was good in Breaking Ground as well.
Yeah,
but obviously the big return. I mean, it's Zack's. This is Zack's big return. He's on the pre-show. There's not really much to say. It's just a typical tag team match. They win with a Hype Rider. The Colons looked marginally threatening. That's pretty much it. It's just a bit of a shame. I mean, consider as well that Mojo won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at Mania.
He did.
And he's not even curtain jerk.
Well, I think he won that because of his friendship with Gronkowski, but there you go.
Absolutely, but you have to bear in mind, he technically the last person in that match other than himself was Jinder Mahal, who's currently WWE champion, so they could push him.
Maybe. I think the only reason Jinder Mahal was the last one in that Battle Royale was because they wanted someone that they could damage by getting tackled by an NFL player. It just so happens that Vince McMahon then saw social media followers and by country and saw that India has a very large amount, and therefore he's picked Mahal to try and get that Indian money.
Whether they'll get it is another thing.
Well, no one ever has.
No, that's true. Well, they had Carly.
Did he make the money? I don't think he ever made the money.
Only when they briefly toured in India, I think. But again, that depends on, compared to normal house shows, they never really made it. The only other things I wanted to note on the pre-show, but do you ever hear Booker on any of these bits? You obviously don't, do you?
Did he commentate on the show? No, he didn't.
No, he was on the pre-show.
Was he? I thought he commentates Raw now.
He does, but he's on their pre-show. He just offers some bits. He had a little exchange with Naomi, because they get guests on the pre-show. They had a nice little exchange about her saying how she was didn't feel like the need to prepare or something, and he was like, you need to constantly be prepared for these sort of matches. Right. Couple of other notes. Booker obviously legit loves the Usos, and he believes that they will beat his 10 reigns as part of Harlem Heat. They're up to reign 3, so I don't think that'll ever happen, to be honest.
Wait, Harlem Heat hold the record for what? Is that a record?
He said they had it 10 times. Well, I presume he meant Harlem Heat, because it was like, who else has he been in a tag team with? I'm not a WCW full expert, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and even then, that's WCW, right?
Yeah, but they've merged their belts with the WWE, so all their title reigns count.
But going by that, the Dudleys... those title belts should have been merged with the ECW ones as well then, right?
Yes, when the WWE bought them out.
Surely the Dudleys hold the record. That's what I don't thought. Anyway.
It's not a record. I think it's just how many reigns he's had. That's all he was trying to point out, because he loves the Usos, and he's made that note on the last SmackDown pay-per-view. The other thing as well, we'll probably get into it when the match happens, both Booker and Sam, I can't remember his surname, he's the radio presenter. Have you seen him?
The one who looks like Art Garfunkel.
He looks like someone JBL would bully.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. Both of them, will probably mention the exact same thing. They criticised Lana being in the women's title match in her first singles match. I mean, she had a debut match at WrestleMania in a tag match.
And she said NXT stuff.
That's true.
But on house shows to warm her up.
But house shows don't count, do they?
Exactly.
If it doesn't happen, Vince's attitude, if it doesn't happen on television, it never happened. Except all those title changes in the 90s, which were briefly recorded. But besides the point, they both said that it made no sense that there were going to be 5 women killing themselves in a ladder match, yet Lana manipulates her way into a title match without having to wrestle previously. So it was like they were almost, complaining about the way that this was booked, and they basically stole what I was going to make about the storyline going into that match. And the only other note was that Sam also mentioned that he didn't think Nakamura had proved himself in the ring yet. Which I think... Well, no. Well, in the WWE. Obviously, we're not going to talk about New Japan and NXT, but if you go by what he's been doing with Ziggler last month and SmackDown, he had a bit of a point.
Yeah, I guess so. They've kind of kept him away from wrestling, haven't they? In quite a few ways.
Well, we'll get to that as well towards the final match. But no, that was all to note on the pre-show.
Cool. Okay, so the show itself opened with the first ever ladies, or women's, shall I say, Money in the Bank match, which saw Carmella with James Ellsworth defeat Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Tamina, and Becky Lynch. And I should be saying that she won the match by climbing the ladder and retrieving the briefcase, but she didn't, because James Ellsworth did it for her, dropped the briefcase down, she picked it up, she won the match. A lot of people, this is divided opinion, and it's been a bit of a heat magnet to some, and others believe that it's a good booking choice for storyline and to build a heel character and whatnot. I know, my opinion, I'll tell you my opinion in a moment, but what did you think of this match, Harry?
I thought it was a competent ladder match, but the ending ruined it.
Yeah. Also, it went 13 minutes, 20 seconds, which I can't think of many ladder matches that have gone less than 15 minutes that have been truly brilliant, but I think given that they were probably, before they went out, they were told, right, 15 minutes, that's it. or pretty much that. They've gone out there and done that match in 30 minutes 20. I don't think that's a bad match for 30 minutes, but it's not enough time.
No, everyone got their spots in. I was surprised that Tamina was allowed to showcase as much as she was. But again, it boils down to there were some good spots Charlotte did her corkscrew moonsault.
She is really good, isn't she?
She is. The only problem is she lands on this is more to do with the camera angle. It's real nitpicking because she's very athletic and, there's no way in hell 99% of anyone would be able to pull that off. But she lands on her feet first and then other people's who was it? It was Natalia and Tamina. They sell after she lands. And it's like, I'm not going to blame her because that spot's a pain, really hard to pull off. But why is the camera focused entirely on the crash landing at that angle? Because you're just going to show off how she manages to, take away, the actual magic of the spot.
Yeah, it was a good spot. Yeah,
it was. It just took it out of the match. I mean, this is just me nitpicking. Again, I was surprised Tamina was allowed to, show be as good as she was. Yeah,
Becky Lynch, who appears to be probably the biggest babyface women's wrestler that the E have got right now, even bigger than Bayley when you consider she gets booed now by some crowds. I'm pretty certain that that most people would have wanted Becky to win. If Becky would have won that match, she would have got a really big pop. For some reason, I don't know what, before she got the SmackDown women's belt and since she's lost it, she's kind of been booked, as Alvarez would say, as a huge geek. Often made to look silly. She's got that gimmick with her puns and all that stuff, which I find sort of funny, but I'm going to guess Kevin Dunn despises. And then Natalia. She's pretty all right.
I don't think anyone can take her seriously as a heel, though, from her being on Total Divas.
She gets popped. She pops quite a lot of crowds. It's quite strange.
I can't boo her. I find her a very nice lady, so...
Yeah.
I can't separate the character from the person.
Yeah.
Or the character that's on one show and the character that's on the wrestling show.
Yeah, and when it comes to the finish of the match, I personally think it's a complete crock of shit. I hate the fact that in a historic match, which is the first women's Money in the Bank match, in 20 years' time, if this match is still going and in 20 years' time they do a highlights package or some kind of historical reel, they can't actually use footage of the first match because the first ever person to retrieve a briefcase in a women's Money in the Bank match was fucking James Ellsworth. And it did get heat and it did draw boos, although it didn't actually because the crowd kind of find him amusing still. So when he went up and got it, there was a bit of excitement. But I just don't really get it. I don't think it's very good for the whole women's division.
I totally agree. I think for first, as you say, it's the first ever one of its kind. This was not the ending that match should have had at all. It should have been one of the ladies going up, and even if you had heel shenanigans, at least have Carmella get the briefcase herself.
Had he come in, knocked Charlotte off the ladder, and then a tired Carmella may have been on the bottom of the ladder, and he could have just put her... when you in tag teams do it, and they put their partner on the shoulder, and then they kind of push them up the ladder and give them a bit of speed up the ladder. Could have done that with Carmella. She could have got the briefcase. He still would have helped her. It still would have technically been cheating in what is a no DQ match. But just this, she's sitting on her ass. He goes up, gets the thing, throws it down to her. I just thought it was shit, really. Really quite annoying.
Yeah, and it took away everything else from the match because no one really cares about any of the spots that took place in the match. Yeah. They literally now only remember the ending, which is Ellsworth climbing, getting the case and throwing it down. It's bad. And what made me laugh was the refs are all arguing afterwards, saying, oh, it's not right. It's no DQ. There's no fucking rules in place because this sort of thing has never happened before.
Yeah.
So there's no point arguing about it. I mean, we're recording this, guys, on Tuesday. SmackDown has yet to happen. So for all we know, this is going to be hilariously out of date when Shane and Brian come out and say, we're having the rematch tonight on SmackDown.
Well, okay.
Do right.
Okay, but you bring up a point I was going to bring up during the women's match. Because Daniel Bryan tweeted immediately after the match that, oh, this is wrong and we'll bring this up on Tuesday. So... And again, we'll mention this when we get to it, but she should have cashed in that same night then.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to do something like that.
And when she turned up during that match, I was fairly certain she was going to, which would have created a bit more of a,
it would have at least added to the story of controversy, because it's like, well, she technically didn't win the match, but she somehow cashed in on the night anyway. So she has this. She's won. She has the title, but she definitely doesn't deserve it.
In fact, I'm baffled that it didn't happen. I'm going to go as far to say I'm going to guess that it was supposed to happen, but they changed it last minute. That's my guess. That's my guess.
Wouldn't surprise me. But again, it's a competent match made terrible by the ending. Should not have happened in the first iteration of this match for women at all.
And that description of that match leads us to the Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championship against the New Day. This was the in-ring return of the New Day, which is cool, I guess. Though I'll be honest, cool as they are, as fun as they can be, I'm pretty much done with them. This match ended when the Usos gave up, technically, and using their champion's advantage, took their belts and walked away, therefore retaining the title via count-out. I thought up until the ending of this match, it was pretty good, and I was left very annoyed with the ending of this match.
Yeah, exactly the same. It was, to be honest, I don't have the same sentiments for the New Day. Had you asked me that earlier this year before when Kofi got injured, I would have been in exactly the same boat. But I think them having a bit of time off and switching brands is probably like giving them a few extra months of mileage.
Yeah, I do agree with that to an extent. I just mean, the entrance and the trombone or whatever the hell it is.
The catchphrases.
I don't hate it. I quite like it. When that happens, it doesn't, it's not a channel changer or a fast forward for me, but I just mean, I think it's kind of numbed since it was about a year ago. But yeah, I think you're right about the time off and the brand switch. I mean, SmackDown needs a better tag teams, and the New Day are obviously a good tag team. So yeah, I think that's good for SmackDown and probably will be good for them. This match, the ending of this match, however, was just bollocks, and
it's pretty much the easiest way of killing your crowd off in the space of about 40 minutes. You give them two, fuck-off finishes, especially with a title match as well.
Yeah,
it's a returning team.
This went 12 minutes again. I missed that earlier. 12 minutes. New Day win by count out, which means Usos retain. Do they not get the exact same outcome that they want in that heels cheat to keep their titles if they would have just had one of the Usos holding down someone's ankles for a pin, or a bit of a fuck finish like that, or them doing the old switcheroo because they're twins, just something where they would have won dirty as opposed to losing dirty and keeping their belts, which obviously the thing was, this match you knew that the Usos would win somehow or they would retain, because the in-ring return of the New Day, they should chase for a little while. There should be a chase for those belts.
Yeah, because it's more
money.
And
the Usos should sliver away a couple of times. Then obviously there should be a big moment when the New Day win the belts and they become the first tag team during this split to win both titles, or blah 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 blah. That should be the payoff. But this, I don't know I just don't know why they did this silly count out finish. It just seems strange.
I guess if it's to draw heat for the Usos to say, "Oh, what chicken shits," they were going to lose and they've had to run away, and that's the only way they've managed to retain the belts. But that only really works on television. You wouldn't pay a £10 subscription or whatever we used to pay on. I mean, for Americans, it's $50 for pay-per-view, but I'm not sure what it would have been on Sky Box Office to watch this. It's just not worth it. The other thing as well, because we're talking about the ending, which, like the last match, detracts from the actual match, but there was some very sloppy bits in this match as well. Like Big E, again, spears through the ropes. They look like so bad. Like, not bad.
They are supposed to look rough, though, aren't they?
They are, but they look like he's going to injure himself more than anybody else. And it just looks, it's not worth the hassle. The other thing as well is during the match, there's a bit in the corner with, I think it must be Kofi. And then he blind tags him in when Jay's doing a splash from the ropes. and then he tries to, I don't know if he tries to catch him from the rebound or if he tries to catch him as he's falling to do the big ending, but he doesn't get him and then ends up just repeating the spot again. And it's just so, because I love E. He's great.
Yeah,
it's just so, it's just amateur. I feel really bad. It's amateur doing the same thing over. Like, why not transition to like, oh, well, I fucked that up. Why not just punch him on the back, do a submission, then maybe go into the big ending in the middle of the ring just to cover it up a little bit. Instead, he just goes straight for it.
Yeah, you're not really supposed to repeat straight away, are you? You're supposed to kind of cover it up.
But he just didn't. And I don't know if that's because they've not had to wrestle for so long, or if he was just, caught up in the moment, or didn't think it looked as bad as it did on camera, but it just looked really bad.
Yeah, no, quite forgettable match overall. And
the ending makes up. The ending is all people will be talking about again. But I presume that this will lead to something bigger at SummerSlam, probably with a no DQ stipulation.
Yes, or perhaps a cage match with that.
Oh Christ! No,
we haven't had enough of those lately, have we?
Or trombone on a pole match.
Could be good.
Just put Xavier on the pole match.
Or put him in a cage above the ring. They like doing that as well, don't they?
He can blow on the trombone from up there.
He could
do.
Okay, so next we had Naomi defending her title against Lana. As mentioned earlier, this was Lana's main roster television / pay-per-view debut singles match. So Naomi defeated Lana by submission in 7 minutes 30. Again, the ladies on this pay-per-view getting really crummy times. So basically they've had 20 minutes between two matches.
With 8 people. No, 7 people.
7 people, yeah. It's great. Doesn't speak wonders for how they feel about the division, I guess.
Smash that glass ceiling.
Yeah, Lana has like a kind of weird... Is it like a weird jazz dancer gimmick?
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Because she used to have her music it was basically the introduction to Rusev's music. And now it's jazzy.
She's like a ballroom dancer, Russian ballroom dancer.
Yeah, because those Russians are famous for their ballroom dancing.
This is true.
Soviet Russia ballroom dance you.
Actually, I suppose if she would have had like a Russian gymnast or ballerina gimmick, that might have been good. But anyway, she's quite limited. On offense, I think she actually looks quite credible, and you can see she's all right. But when it comes to having to sell, she's pretty rubbish, and it's quite exposed as being green. Naomi is all right. I don't particularly think much of her. She had a good. Like her WrestleMania win and her win prior to that was all to build up the fact that she's from Orlando. Is it Orlando where?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep. So that was the whole WrestleMania thing. I'm surprised that she's still got the belt, but I suppose they're building up to Charlotte winning it eventually. And then obviously you got Carmella in the pack now. Yeah,
she does have a good entrance and probably does. I imagine she sells merchandise. Surely,
maybe. I don't know if she does. I mean, the entrance is all right, but I don't. Is it? I mean, is it already got a bit boring? I don't know.
It's at least colourful compared to some of the other women on this roster, like poor Tamina, who comes out with her logo that looks like a shitty knockoff version of Breaking Bad's logo. Just the others. But again, as you say, Lana is her first match. She's obviously green. I thought she was all right. I felt sorry because she was really getting into the match and her high-pitched screaming kind of gave away what her real voice sounds like as opposed to a Russian accent.
She does that quite a bit, actually, yeah. It flips, yeah. Or she makes mistakes and she's quite good at just ignoring them.
I thought it was an okay match. But the question that I was thinking of was asking during this was like, why is Lana wrestling? I thought she was a great manager and a good vocal piece to accompany Rusev, but she's wrestling.
So Rusev was out, and I assume they just wanted. It was either she does absolutely nothing, and they end up paying 2 people to do nothing. Obviously, he's injured, so he can't do anything anyway. I didn't mean it like that, but they'd have been paying them both not to be on television or events in this way that at least they can try and repurpose her and try and see if she has got what it takes to be a wrestler. I don't know what the answer to that is just yet. I think there's potential there. She's obviously incredibly attractive. I think her and Maurice are the nicest on the whole roster. So she's got that in her favour as well. I think they may well stick with her for at least another couple of weeks on television and see how it goes. But yeah, this was an odd match. Carmella came out with
Fuckboy James Ellsworth.
Yeah, they kind of did their, the whole, I might cash in, I might not cash in kind of thing. What I'm thinking after SmackDown tonight, she decided not to, which will be a huge mistake after tonight, because I've got a feeling that they might even take that briefcase off her. Who knows? I thought she should have cashed in. She should have made that even more controversial. They didn't. I think the match itself was ruined by that. And it was just a match. It was just another women's title match that wasn't given enough time on a pay-per-view.
I agree, other than, again, going back to Booker and Sam on pre-show, I don't understand why Lana was able to skip the queue when everyone else has to kill themselves in a ladder match, which ultimately meant nothing in the grand scheme.
Booking kayfabe-wise, it was because the champion requested the match. So that's kayfabe, like in storyline, it was because Lana jumped her. So Naomi said to Shane, "Give me the match," and Shane said, "Oh, okay then." And then that was it. That was why.
But why not do that a week early? Because the WWE always do this 50-50 booking anyway. They don't have pay-per-view exclusive matches anymore. Why not just do it this one time, have Lana and Naomi on SmackDown, have Lana win via shenanigans, and then say, right, I have to prove to beat her on the pay-per-view, and do it that way, instead of it being this, jump the queue, get on the pay-per-view for your first ever match against champion. It's just
it is a weird sell to do by the way, this is her debut singles match, and it's also for the World Women's title. It is a bit of a weird situation. But
has she been an actual wrestler prior to it, like Asuka or Peyton Royce or Billie Kay? No problem, because they at least can wrestle. But because she's not, she's been a manager the entire time. She's a great talker, and she was definitely one of the better highlights of the WWE for the past 2 years. But I don't really care about her wrestling, and this match kind of cemented it. She's okay. Naomi's better than okay, but she can't work a miracle.
Yeah, true.
But again, it was an all right match. I agree. The stuff with Carmella, I think, for storyline purposes, she should have cashed in, because at least then it would have added some intrigue to going into SmackDown, where both Daniel and Shane have acknowledged that this is bollocks.
Yeah.
And then we could have maybe built up a program saying, all right, Carmella is the women's champion, but you're going to have to face all 4 women that you technically beat, plus the 2 in this match in some sort of big fuck-off match for SummerSlam. So look, armchair booking.
Well, I imagine that might be the way it goes, but I don't like the big multi-matches, because at the end of the day, it'd be like WrestleMania again. There's 6 of them involved, and then they get told, oh, by the way, you've got 11 minutes, and all it ends up being is a big spot fest.
But would you rather have one big 11-minute spot fest or 2 13... How many minutes did you say this grand total on this pay-per-view for women?
It's 7 minutes and 13 minutes. So 20 minutes over 2 matches.
Oh, so 2... Yeah, so for 2 matches worth 20 minutes, where it's just one bollock finish, one match where both competitors won't ever deliver anything other than an okay match. I'll take the spot fest until they build up their roster.
I guess so. Maybe.
That's just me.
Right, yeah. So there was that match. Then we had the debut of Maria Kanellis and Mike.
Oh, whoa. I know you're excited. You forgot the fashion file, sir.
Oh, what? The actual skit?
Yes, sir. Don't acknowledge it. This is one of the best bits of this pay-per-view.
You know what? I'll be honest. These fashion files things, they get me. I really enjoy them.
They had Paul E. Dangerously's phone from WCW.
Yeah, which he highlighted straight away on Twitter, which was quite fun.
It was good. It's like the size of a house. Probably emits radio waves and stuff, but it was good. And the little fashion wall as well, with Dusty and... Oh, there was someone else on there.
Wasn't Doc Hendricks on there?
Yes, it was. I'm trying to think mullet, yes.
And I think Arn Anderson, but I could be wrong.
I was going to say, because they've been running these on SmackDown and their office got wrecked, and apparently we were going to find out tonight who was responsible because they sent in a VHS tape. And I immediately thought, oh my God, they've repackaged the Ascension as their Southpaw gimmick. I thought they've done it. They've actually, they've rechristened them. But we'll get to it, and it got ruined.
Dreadful.
But now we get to our debut on pay-per-view.
Yes, so Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett have debuted as Maria and Mike Kanellis.
That fucking 80s power ballad as well.
So it's like, obviously, I'm assuming they're going for a, incredulous, ignorant, massively in love couple. She's probably going to manipulate him to do loads of things. She's probably going to be a right bitch behind his back. That's quite a lot of assumptions, but that's my guess. And they're going to preach about how much they love each other and how it's great and blah, blah, blah. And I imagine they'll be quite heelish. That screams heel to me.
I was going to say, because the WWE have such contempt for their audience, they probably presume that they're all these, single men that are in their 40s and the basement dwellers. So the idea of this couple coming out and going, my name is Maria Kanellis, and this is my husband, Mike Kanellis. Yeah. We're so in love, and we're going to, ruin SmackDown or whatever.
Yeah, it was all right. I actually thought it, for what it was quite good. It was a good introduction to the characters. I imagine not many people, like the casuals, probably don't know who they are. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I don't watch Impact. I haven't watched Impact in ages, so I haven't seen their most recent work. But
I've heard she's very good. I've heard he is okay.
See, I heard the other way around, that he's potentially good and she's incredibly average and probably won't be an in-ring worker in the WWE.
I hope not, because if it's anything like she was 10 years ago, we are fucked, because that was like the dark ages of Divas, if you remember. Fucking Divas search, I still have nightmares over it.
Yeah, wait, what did she win that?
No, she came third. It was Christy Hemme who won that year.
That's it. I always get her and these two mixed up. Yeah, no. Oh, God.
That's racist.
They've both got reddish hair and they're both moderately attractive with big tits.
They both got hired along with her. But Christy won that contest because she called, I can't remember who the fuck it was. She was only in the company for a few months. She called her a cum-guzzling slut bag or something like that.
What, on telly?
On Raw. They tried to censor it and they only caught like the last three syllables. It's great. Look it up on YouTube if anyone gets a chance. It's the only highlight of the Diva search. Them, the Divas catcalling each other, because I think they were expecting bitchy comments, but they went the fucking whole 9 yards. It's proper ruthless aggression. Error bollocks.
I'm gonna have to.
But I'm glad she's back. To be honest, and that music was awesome.
It was, yes.
I cannot wait for it to go on YouTube.
Very Power of Love.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
I just wanted to say, I've made a note, and I said the pay-per-view has been on for an hour and 15 minutes. It feels like it's been on twice that. How did you? Because we've had only 3 matches and 2 segments. And
I watched it live. live.
Oh, you fucking pleb.
And I found myself flicking around on my iPad quite a lot because I didn't find a lot of this stuff too engaging, and I just when I get annoyed by finishes, I tend to switch off a little bit. Yeah, by this time I was pleasantly surprised. Not surprised. I was pleased that the Jinder Mahal Orton match was up next because I thought that might be a bit different.
India versus America, which
leads me on to our next match, Jinder Mahal against Randy Orton. Jinder Mahal flanked by the Singh brothers. His entrance, they introduced him before the match. The St. Louis legends were introduced, which was quite interesting. Larry Hennig, who Meltzer says never actually wrestled in St. Louis, but he's there as a St. Louis legend. Good old WWE rewriting history as always. Obviously,
are you old? Did you wrestle when you in the 80s? Yeah. Oh, he must have been in St. Louis at some point. Fuck it, just put him with Gagne and Reschke. What's his name? Reschke?
Yeah, Baron von Raschke with the claw.
With the claw.
He was probably the most charismatic person on the whole card tonight. Not tonight, Sunday night.
Slaughter at least said some of it, although he just kind of dressed up and
nodded.
That was it. Nodded.
Mahal defended the title. He beat Randy Orton. after shenanigans from Orton with the Singh brothers again. Was this match, minus the Cowboy Bob Orton spot, not just the carbon copy of their previous match?
Minus the Singh brothers not dying in their spots on the table, or only one of them took offense. No, they both did the spot on the table, but one of them got RKO'd on the...
and the spinning spot on the table was very safe compared to last time.
Yeah, where he nearly necked one of them. Yes, you don't have dementia. You have seen the same match over again.
The finish was exactly the same.
Yeah, he's fell for it twice.
RKO, they prevent him. The Singh brothers stop Orton from winning. Mahal is given time to recuperate whilst Orton smashes the shit out of the Singh brothers. He finishes. He gets in the ring. Cobra clutch slam. 1, 2, 3. The modern day Maharaja or whatever it is still the champion. Heat rains down on him because he's beaten the hometown star. It was okay. It was a good match. I thought it was okay. It was just shy of 21 minutes, 20 minutes and 50 seconds. I can see this feud going one more, and it will obviously be some kind of, well, technically the way this feud's going, it should be a cage match. Because you need to do something. You need to do something that will keep the Singh brothers out.
But what's the Indian equivalent of a cage match, Rhys?
Oh, I know what you're getting at, and that would be the Punjabi prison match, wouldn't it?
A match so infamous that the great Khali invented it, but then couldn't wrestle in it for its debut.
Wasn't it
because of elevated liver enzymes?
Was it the Big Show that?
It was the Big Show, which was probably ultimately the best choice if you're going to have a big man in the match with the Undertaker.
Yeah, so I mean, it might go that way, or it might. I don't know. How else would it go? They need to do some kind of stipulation which would try and negate the Singh brothers. The only thing that would do that is a cage match, and I don't know if I can watch another Jinder and Randy match. I don't think they work. I think they work quite well together, but they just kill the feud. I think the feud needs to end very soon.
I was going to say, had this match not been identical to the one previous to it, it would have been a well-heated match. As you say, they both work quite well together. It's weird because Orton, as they announced the kayfabe weight, but Orton has about 30 pounds on him, which you wouldn't guess.
It's 240 Orton, 220 Mahal.
Crazy. Yeah. But,
which is total bollocks.
Yeah, I know. They're the same with height. Complete kayfabe. They work well together. The match was heated, obviously, Orton in his hometown. Minus, as you say, the legend spots, it's the same match. And I completely agree. A well-heated match, but I have no intention seeing these two wrestle for a third time on pay-per-view, even with the stipulation being a potential cage match. I don't know what else you can do with them. I think the Singh brothers have at least... they contribute a little bit to the match and give Orton an excuse to keep his heat.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see a Punjabi prison match.
I think we're quite safe from seeing a Punjabi prison match, but
I think we can thank Alvarez, because if he keeps saying it, it comes more knowledge. Vince will change his mind and go, well, they know about it, so we can't do it now.
Well, I think it's more a case of it'll be a cage match, but you never know. I
was just thinking it's a shame they strictly keep Hell in a Cell. Oh no, they don't. They've had Hell in a Cell matches beyond the
only WrestleMania though.
Yeah, fuck. SummerSlam's the new WrestleMania now, so they could argue it.
Maybe. But if these two guys are fighting at WrestleMania, at SummerSlam, I'd be very annoyed.
Again, armchair booking. Why not have Mahal say, I want just a no disqualification match, and Orton's like, I want to keep these two bricks out of this match, so I want Hell in a Cell or a cage match, and have that be like 6-man tag match or something to decide it. Again, armchair booking. At least make something interesting in the lead up to this.
Yeah, why not?
But the way it's currently going, I don't want to see it. Competent, but I can't be bothered anymore.
Fair enough.
At least as well, from the very first episode where I noted Mahal, Orton was unsuccessful retaining the title on pay-per-view, and it was going for like a recurring pattern for SmackDown titles. Mahal's the first person to do it this year.
Defend his title, yeah.
Successful, or the world title successfully on pay-per-view. It took something like 7 months to get to this point, which is just depressing.
It is mad, actually, yeah. Yeah, and that's where we are. Jinder Mahal is still the world champion. Power to him. I do enjoy... I quite like... I like him with the belt. I just hope he gets some really good creative programs coming out of these matches.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to be any more. You people, you honkies, you hate me, and I'm just fucking bored of America versus terror. I know it's just boring though. I mean, I'm British. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad he's still got the title.
Yeah, me too.
Hope he's on the way up.
Yeah.
Piss break time.
Yeah.
Not for the podcast.
Yeah. So this was the standard piss break match with Breezango against the team that have been smashing up their Fashion Files sets and whatnot, and sent them the videotape, the VHS tape earlier, because they were doing a Miami Vice skit, and that is set in the 80s. Therefore, it was a VHS tape, which I thought was quite funny. The comically blackened screen with the voice vocoders, whatever they are, changing their voice, and it was, of course, the Ascension, which drew absolute crickets in the arena. When I watched it, I thought for a split second I was hoping it was going to be some kind of, I don't know, aggressive, heelish American Alpha, maybe. I saw quite a few people on Twitter watching the event thought the same, or hoped the same at least. And then you got the Ascension, and Breezango got given a pay-per-view win, albeit in the piss break spot at 3 minutes 50. I think, didn't Fandango win with a roll-up as well?
Yes.
The schoolboy, yeah. It's just, I quite like the whole Breezango thing. I just think it's quite funny. I think there's a good place for comedy in wrestling, as we've discussed on previous episodes. So yeah, this was an absolute throwaway, the most obvious piss break you'll ever see in your life, obviously leading up until Money in the Bank match. Anything to add?
So that previous match, no, you've pretty much covered all my notes. Crowd is noticeably dead. Match is basic and short. Nothing much in the death spot. Yeah, I wrote 2 lines.
Yeah. Okay, which leads us to the main event of Money in the Bank. It was a fairly long match for WWE standards, 29 minutes 45 seconds. Baron Corbin retrieved the briefcase, defeating AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler Puff, Sami Zayn, and the face of America, Kevin Owens. First notable thing was Nakamura getting taken out of the match before he even entered it. I was actually quite annoyed about that.
Is he injured?
Well, I don't think so.
I just thought he gets taken out by Corbin at the start, and I'm like, okay, he's going to get some heat for Corbin. That's all right. But he's gone for
22 minutes.
Jesus. So my maths is not good. He was a lot of the match.
He was in the match for 7 to 8 minutes.
Right. So he was out of the match for 75% of it.
Yes. So he's either injured or they have no faith in him because he hasn't actually ever participated in a ladder match before. And I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty certain that is the case.
Okay. They do train these wrestlers, don't they, before matches?
I don't know if ladder matches comes as part of the Performance Centre, but yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't know if they just wanted to. Obviously, he's a face, and did they want to build him up as a face for that kind of big baby face by doing the whole he's injured and taken out, but he comes back in anyway spot. It's just, yeah, I just thought it was bollocks. One of the main reasons I was excited for this match was because I wanted to see Nakamura in a ladder match. And that was taken away from the viewer. Obviously, it gave Corbin some heat. He didn't need it. He's a heel. It's pretty standard that he's a heel. That's what everyone thinks of him. So we had 5 people in the match for 22 minutes. You had your obvious standard spots with ladders, people getting the crap smashed out of them, jumps on the ladders, throws onto the ladders. Pretty cool spot with AJ clinging on to the briefcase whilst he was dangling and then taking that bump from the drop.
Jesus.
Yeah, I thought that was well done on his part, because obviously he took it safely, but that could have been... How high up was he? He looked when you take the ladder away, he actually looks really high up, right?
I'd say about a 10-foot drop.
Well, maybe even more.
Obviously Foley's kind of set the precedent for, you can jump 15 feet and you'll be completely fucked, but you'll still survive. But he takes it on the shoulder. I thought initially when he did that, I thought, well, he's done from the match. But he still kept going. But I thought the crowd was really quiet until Zayn did the sunset flip powerbomb from the ladder.
Yeah, so this has been noted elsewhere, actually, that from Orton losing, obviously the hometown hero lost, the crowd were quite dead up until that Zayn spot. And then
Even with the piss break as well.
And then once he did that spot, they kind of livened up for the rest of the match. Yeah, I agree. That was a pretty good spot. I love watching Sami Zayn in these kind of matches because you do get the feeling that he's he goes out there to make an impression on everyone, and he always does. There was that really great dragon suplex he did
on the apron.
Owens. That's how you know they're best friends, because how many other people would let him do that? Really?
Fucking lands. I mean, he obviously doesn't, but it looks like he lands straight on his head. I'm like, oh fuck! And I've got this coal in the back of my gun. That's the hardest part of the ring.
Some of the things they've done to each other over the last, I don't know, whatever, 5 or so years in various organisations, in different stories and different names and gimmicks. Some of the stuff they've done to each other is quite frankly barbaric and violent.
I still think one of the worst ones is where he does the exploder on the ladder.
Yeah,
and his head gets caught. Owens' head gets caught in it. I can't remember which pay-per-view it was last year.
Yeah,
and it was almost made up for all the bollocks Owens put him through over 2 years because it was so bad.
Yeah, that was a good spot. And then, yeah, my favourite part of the match, and I think everyone's favourite part of the match really, was Nakamura and AJ Styles, both on each side of the ladder, looking at each other through the runs of the ladder and eyeing each other up, helping each other move the ladder out of the way, and so they could have a proper stare down and obviously a little bit of a match. I'm really, really, really hoping this is building for WrestleMania. I've got a feeling it's for SummerSlam, because I think if they need a big match from SmackDown on SummerSlam, this is the match. If you've ever seen their Wrestle Kingdom 10 match, Wrestle Kingdom 10, obviously in New Japan, where it's a bit of a harder and freer style, shall we say, that you are subjected to in WWE, they absolutely smashed the shit out of each other in what is an excellent 5-star match. So if they're able to recreate that in a WWE ring in some way, I think it should be saved for WrestleMania, and I think they're obviously building towards it with the whole New Japan match in mind. I don't think they'd be doing it if they hadn't already had this amazing match. So yeah, that was a really good spot. They obviously beat each other up a bit. Did Corbin get rid of them two before he got the briefcase? I can't actually remember the circumstances behind him getting the briefcase.
I believe he did.
Yeah.
Because Nakamura goes ape shit and just basically destroys everything that moves.
Yeah, didn't he Didn't he give Ziggler to Kinshasa?
You can say Bumaye if you want.
Well, that's what it was called before it was rebranded. Yeah, he gave Ziggler a couple of them, didn't he?
Yeah, he gave him a couple. Then he went for Zayn, gave him the exploder in a Kinshasa. Mm-hmm. That's when we lead to then Owens grabs hold of his leg to try and stop him. It's the most pathetic thing you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's trying to get the ladder and he hangs on. He can't do anything and he just Kinshasas him for his trouble. That's when we get the Mexican standoff with them through the ladder.
Yeah,
but to your point, it was really good. I believe it was. I don't know if they battered each other and Corbin just capitalised. I can't remember. I'd have to rewatch it now. Because I do remember the showdown. And I'm just thinking, I think that should go to SummerSlam. Because I don't think you can... If the crowd are really into it now, build it up now for SummerSlam. And you can always have the rematch at WrestleMania. And maybe add the stipulation for the WWE title.
Maybe. I don't think they plan on giving it back to Styles anytime soon. Though I'd happily be wrong on that.
I was going to say as well that they're not, because they're not homegrown talent. Would they do that? But
probably not. No.
Again, this armchair booking. Maybe better. That's besides the point. We both said that Corbin was going to win this.
Yeah, I did.
Are you happy that he won it? Or?
No, because I've been saying for ages. I think he was my Royal Rumble favourite, and I don't think that's the case anymore. So. It's something fresh, I guess. He's a heel, Actually, that's the other thing. It's heel, isn't it? So is he? You could have a heel cashing on another heel. Maybe he can hold
as I said before, I think Cena will beat Mahal, whether that's for SummerSlam or whatever, and I think Corbin will capitalise on that. Which, although part of me thinks that would result in Cena's latest 2 title reigns, not to mention the one that he beats Flair's all-time record.
Being rubbish, yeah.
Yeah, which makes me think, no, that shouldn't happen. But then again, they made his record equal in one. A 2-week affair, so
that was rubbish. Yeah, so Corbin wins. He is Mr. Money in the Bank. I think there's a good chance he might hold on to this briefcase for quite a while and play the whole cunning heel who might strike at any moment but is going to bide his time. I don't think he'll do the deed for a little while.
I think he'll wait until next year, like start of next year, leading up to maybe Mania.
The way Rollins held on to it for ages.
Yes, not like because the one that I always remember is Edge, but he never really mentioned about cashing in. It was only when at New Year's Revolution that he actually did it, because he never made any mention that he was ever going to cash in.
Is that the old school style of McMahon coming out and announcing it?
Yeah,
with Cena dying of blood loss in the ring.
Cena beats everyone against the odds in the Elimination Chamber. Fucking McMahon comes out, speaks for 5 minutes, going, "This man is going to cash in his Money in the Bank opportunity, which he won at WrestleMania, blah, 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 blah." And then Edge finally comes out, and I can't remember which crowd it was, but it's like, they're really excited that it's going to happen. But by the time Vince finishes speaking, they're like, I just want to go fucking home.
Didn't Zombie Cena also kick out of the first spear? in true Cena fashion, yeah.
I watched it earlier this year because I'm going through all my pay-per-views in chronological order for the network. I think he definitely hits him twice. Now you said. Yeah. I don't know if I think he might pin him, but I always remember because he beats Chris Masters and Carlito.
Yeah,
just to kill off their heat just before losing anyway. I always remember that. What a big fuck you finish. But anyway, I think Corbin will hold on to that till next year. I think he'll go more the Rollins route as opposed to Edge.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I don't think he'll stop bragging about the fact that he's Mr. Money in the Bank.
Okay, that brings an end to Money in the Bank. Overall, what was your match of the night?
Easily the main event, the Money in the Bank ladder match for the
men's Money in the Bank match. Yes,
men's.
Agreed. Worst match of the night?
From a technical standpoint, the women's championship match.
Yeah.
But it didn't piss me off as much as the women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
I agree on both counts of that, yes.
I as you said in our WhatsApp conversations, it really shows so much contempt for the women's booking. It did no one any favours. I think the Money, as I'll stand corrected if SmackDown books it to say we're doing the rematch tonight, no Ellsworth interference, we're going to do this right. So if that happens, then no point. But as it currently stands, that ladder match is fucking atrocious. And all that hard work that Charlotte, Tamina, Becky, Carmella even, and Natalia put into it meant nothing because it's a big fuck you finish at the end. And it drew the wrong kind of heat. It drew bad heat, not, I want to see this heel get their comeuppance.
Agreed. Cool. That is Money in the Bank. The only thing I was going to very briefly discuss before closing out this episode is the field for the 20 wrestler field for the G1 in New Japan has been announced earlier today. So we have Tanahashi, Makabe, Michael Elgin, the champion, Okada, Goto, Ishii, Yano for your comedic value there, Yoshihashi, Kenny Omega, who's going after back-to-back G1 victories this year.
Has that been done before?
Don't believe it has, no. Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, Naito, Sanada, Evil, Kojima, Nagata. This is his last ever G1, as announced. So we'll see if he gets a very similar treatment that Jushin Liger got for the Battle of the Super Juniors. When he announced it was his last one, he only won one match. Don't think that will be the case for Nagata, but you never know. Juice Robinson is in the G1 since breaking Kevin Owens' nose, what was that, 3 years ago? He's come on leaps and bounds. CJ Parker, yeah. Suzuki, which I know will excite you. Zack Sabre Jr. makes his G1 debut, and returning it to G1 is Kota Ibushi. So there are some absolute worldy matchups in there. Of those 20 wrestlers, they'll be broken up into 2 groups of 10, Block A, Block B. Everyone wrestles each other, round robin, and winner of Block A fights winner of Block B. There is the final, comes out of the winners of those blocks, very similar to Battles of Super Juniors, and you have the winner of G1. And this is the 27th edition of G1 this year. Winner of the G1, well, last year Kenny Omega got given a rather crappy looking, but I suppose similar to Money in the Bank briefcase with IWGP title match kind of emblazoned on the front of it in a laminated piece of paper.
What did they have prior to that, though?
I think it's always been the case. You get given a title shot at Wrestle
right,
Kingdom.
so there's no physical embodiment of what they've won.
No, but
not
I think
trophy or...
well, Japanese sports you tend to get trophies. Like MMA fights, there's always a trophy at the end of stuff. I think there's a trophy, yeah. But yeah, there was some kind of briefcase last year. So yeah, then we will have that. Of course, Okada is in the G1. Okada can win the G1 and therefore not defend his title against the winner of the G1. But again, if he loses a match in the G1, which there'll be non-title matches, but if he loses a match, he could possibly defend his title against anyone who beats him. There is a possibility, though, I think it won't happen yet, that Okada and Omega can be in the same block. Therefore, the third fight in their ongoing feud could be a G1 match. You never know. I don't think it will be. And of course, Ibushi is in there, and I'd love to see Ibushi go up against Zack Sabre Jr. I'd love to see Ibushi Suzuki again. That was great from a few years ago. And of course, old friends Omega and Ibushi, who were a tag team in DDT, I believe, and came up to New Japan together, I think. I could be wrong on that, a few years ago. That would be great if those two had a match. People have been waiting for that for a very long time. Yeah, and obviously Tanahashi, you'll always get good matches out of him. Naito, it's brilliant to see 20 really good wrestlers. Most of their top guys are all involved in the same thing. It runs from mid-July to mid-August. All of it will be on the streaming service for New Japan, so it might be worth investing in that. I think I may well do that.
2 questions. When did they announce the blocks?
So today they announced the participants. I believe on the 26th or 27th they announced the blocks.
Other question, no Cody Rhodes.
No Cody Rhodes, who did announce a little while ago that he was in the G1, so he's either being punished for spoiling that or booking dictates that he won't be in the G1.
Is that because he's going to win the title at Ring of Honor against Christopher Daniels?
Well, it could mean he's going to win the Ring of Honor title, and therefore Ring of Honor don't want their champion to lose too many matches on another promotion, on telly or on streaming service. Or it might mean that he's going to win the IWGP title in Long Beach against Okada, and therefore he won't be involved because he's just waiting to see what his challenger is. Who knows? I'm hoping the latter isn't true, but you never know.
I was going to say, because obviously we've just finished Dominion, and Cody played such a, I was going to say big role, but he really didn't play that much of a bigger role in the aftermath of the match. But he was involved in that match.
He was, yeah. So
they surely must have known at that point, he won't be in G1 because he's already made these comments. So why would they have kept him in that match trying to throw in the towel? Because obviously for storyline purposes, he didn't really need to be there ultimately.
Well, we will soon find out.
I feel a bit more confident about New Japan's booking. Don't get me wrong. It's just a bit of a question as to what direction they're going with Cody Rhodes. Because obviously, again, as you say, New Japan are expanding to America with their US title.
Yeah, I think the plan next year is that they'll have an offshoot part of their roster that will tour America quite a lot next year.
Which is only good news because that means the WWE will have to back up their ideas. Maybe.
I think they'll be incredibly small fry in America, but globally they seem to be growing lately.
Yes.
And they're doing quite well. And G1 is one of the best times of the year to watch New Japan. I mean, I've kept my eye on New Japan over the last couple of years, but I've been really religiously watching it since last year's G1. Last year's G1 is what got me really into watching it on a really consistent level. So, yeah, I'm really quite excited about this.
it's strange to see a professional wrestling company treat wrestling as a sport.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Brackets like this, as opposed to I want to challenge you for this match, and I've never wrestled before. I'll see you Sunday. Yeah, there's no reason for us to fight.
You run over my grandfather in the parking lot, therefore we must fight to the death. You know, that kind of bollocks.
What the fuck was that?
Don't know. I went for an exaggerated thing.
My God, he ran over his grandpa. That grandpa had family.
Yeah. He got family, damn it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
It was me, Austin. Anyway. Yeah. So we got that to look forward to over the next few weeks.
Power.
That was great. All good stuff, which will be covered eventually in some form. Right, okay, episode 3 is done. Thank you, Harry. We need to record very soon our first nostalgic look back anniversary kind of retrospective episode, because around this time in 2007 Chris Benoit tragically died and took his whole family with him in what was a horrible act. We are going to do an episode based on that 10-year anniversary of that, and we're going to talk about his legacy, the footprint that those actions have left in wrestling even today, 10 years later. We'll record that and get that up very soon. But for now, episode 3 is done and we are off. So cheers, Harry.
Cheers, Reese.
Thank you very much and goodbye.
Goodbye.
You can find previous episodes on our YouTube page. If you just search for Smarks Without Attitude on YouTube, you can find us there. We're on Twitter at SWA_podcast. You can find us there. We'll put up links and whatnot. And you can find us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Smarks Without Attitude.